What if someone knocks on your door at 3 a.m., and when you check, no one's there? You'd probably assume it's some neighborhood prank, but the real nightmare begins when you realize the person who knocked isn't outside. They're standing right behind you. No robbery, no revenge, no motive. Just 3 masked strangers playing a deadly game that left audiences across America shaken. And what do they want? Once you learn the answer, you might not sleep tonight. The story follows James and Kristen. They're driving down a long, isolated stretch of back road in rural California. Earlier that night, James proposed. Kristen said no. The rejection hangs heavy in the air. James is devastated. They pull up to James's childhood summer house, a secluded cabin buried deep in the woods, miles from the nearest neighbor. He had spent hours setting it up with roses, candles, soft music, planning the perfect romantic night. Now those same candles feel suffocating. The rose petals look like reminders of humiliation. The house is painfully quiet. It's 4 a.m. Suddenly, knock, knock. A hard, deliberate pounding at the front door. James opens it. Standing under the faint porch light is a young woman. Her face is emotionless. Her voice is flat. "Is Tamara home?" James frowns. "You've got the wrong house." She just stares for a moment, then slowly walks off into the darkness. Something about her feels wrong. Trying to ease the tension, James decides to drive into town to get Kristen cigarettes. He leaves her alone in the house. Not long after, smoke from the fireplace sets off the smoke alarm. The piercing sound echoes through the empty house. Kristen climbs onto a chair to disable it, but the chair snaps, and she crashes to the floor. Shaken and embarrassed, she goes into the kitchen for a glass of water. She thinks she's alone, but in the dim background, standing in the shadowy dining room, is a man. He's wearing a crude burlap sack mask like something stitched together for a scarecrow. He doesn't speak. He doesn't move. He just stands there, watching her. After a few silent seconds, he slowly backs into the darkness and disappears. Another knock at the door. It's the same girl. Is Tamara home? Now Kristen is terrified. She calls James on the landline, her voice trembling, but mid-sentence, the call cuts out. Dead. She grabs her cell phone charger from the counter. Her phone is missing. Someone has been inside. Heart pounding, she pulls back the curtain. Outside the window stands the masked man, staring directly at her. James finally returns and immediately notices something is wrong. All 4 tires on his car have been slashed. The windshield is shattered. They're stranded, trapped in the middle of nowhere. James rushes inside, locks every door and window, and retrieves his father's shotgun. He and Kristen hide, barely breathing. Then, the old vinyl record player in the living room suddenly roars to life at full volume. Music blares through the house. Panic sets in. Right then, James's friend Mike, who James had called earlier for help, arrives at the house. Seeing the door ajar, Mike steps cautiously inside. James hears footsteps in the dark hallway. The bedroom door slowly opens. Bang! James fires the shotgun without thinking. The blast hits Mike. He collapses, dead. James has just killed his own best friend. The horror on his face says everything. The guilt is crushing. Desperate, James runs outside to use an old ham radio to call for help. But before he can transmit anything, the masked man attacks him from the darkness and knocks him unconscious. Kristen tries to escape. She runs into the woods but falls into a ditch, badly injuring her leg. Crying and crawling through the dirt, she drags herself toward the radio. But another figure steps forward, a woman wearing a childlike doll mask. Without a word, she swings an axe and smashes the radio to pieces. There is no help coming. The 3 strangers overpower them. Morning arrives. James and Kristen are tied to separate chairs in the living room. Sunlight filters in through the windows, exposing the devastation inside the house. Standing in front of them are 3 masked figures, 2 women and 1 man. Through tears, Kristen asks the question everyone would ask. Why are you doing this to us? The woman in the doll mask tilts her head slightly. Because you were home. One by one, the strangers remove their masks. The camera never shows their faces. They stab James and Kristen repeatedly. James dies. The three killers quietly walk out of the house and drive away in their pickup truck, calm, casual, as if nothing happened. On a nearby country road, they encounter two teenage Mormon missionaries going door to door with religious pamphlets. One of the masked women rolls down the window and accepts one. One of the boys politely asks, "Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" She gives a faint smile. Maybe. Later, those same two boys arrive at James's house while continuing their outreach. They step inside. Blood stains the walls. Furniture is overturned. Kristen lies on the floor, covered in blood, motionless. One of the boys hesitates, then slowly reaches out to check her pulse. Suddenly, Kristen's hand shoots up and grabs his wrist. She's still alive. Her scream pierces through the house, and the screen cuts to black.